How are we all doing? Well, today I am in Oban and I'm sea fishing. I've dusted off my boat rod, which I don't get to use very often, and we're doing some very exciting species hunting. Now, I said Oban, I said species hunting, so you probably guessed skate are on the agenda, but we're also going to be targeting some of the smaller stuff, and I've brought a deep sea camera with me to see what we can film in the depths. So let's head down to the boat and get cracking. Morning.
A reel for that light light. Yeah. And then.
The west coast of Scotland offers some incredible scenery and plenty of varied fishing. I based myself in Oban, which has easy access to good fishing grounds. I went out with skipper Leigh Taylors, who in recent years has landed some whopping flapper skate on the boat, which was one of today's targets, but my other goal was a rare and unusual deep sea shark, which I'll come on to later. All the anglers on board were keen species hunters, so it was a bit of a lucky dip to see what else turns up, but first we needed fresh bait. Mackerel fishing isn't exactly rocket science, just bung some feathers down, give it a jiggle and haul them up. I always thought if mackerel got to double figures, that would be one hell of a fish. It's normally a case of finding what depth they're at, but we didn't struggle to catch plenty of bait. As well as catching fish today, I also wanted to try a piece of kit out I've had for a while. It's a deep sea camera which can go to 100 metres, though today we're trying 80 metres. The camera sits in a cage with weights and attached to a rope so we can find it later in the day. I attach a few mackerel to draw the fish in and let it down, hoping it will be there later. Before heading out for the big stuff, we decided to try and bump up the species tally with some rock fishing. It didn't take long before we got whiting, and a couple of little pollock. I tried to keep the baits off the bottom slightly on rocky ground to avoid snagging. I soon got something a bit more colourful, a cuckoo wrasse, which has got to be one of the prettiest fish in the UK. All cuckoo wrasse start off as females like this one with a golden colour, and gradually as they get older get blue colorations on them and turn male. I caught its cousin, the ballan wrasse, shortly after, which pound for pound are one of the hardest fighting fish you get in the UK. Boat fishing can be a bit of a lucky dip with the weather, but the gods were smiling on us today. It was flat calm for most of the day with bright sunshine. It's worth noting it's a good idea to pack a hat, sun lotion and plenty of water, as the elements can batter you, and I did get mildly cooked. The other gents on the boat had a decent day also, with conger being caught, a nice ling, which generally don't do well being brought up from the deep, but are good eating, so it didn't go to waste. A couple of thornback rays got caught, and I managed to get my first one, albeit I thought for a second it might have been a cuckoo ray.
Fish on? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, where you can pick most sea fish up.
No, don't.
Oh, it's that dainty thing.
We headed out to find some deeper water and came across some floating weed. Leigh slowed the boat down and scooped it up. This was because often small fish will hide in the weed for refuge, and sure enough, we found loads of small lump suckers. They attach themselves to rocks, weeds and even rubbish to ambush prey and hide from predators. We also got a tiny greater pipefish, the smallest I've ever seen. Hitting the deep water, we anchored up and let the lines down. This can be a bit of a waiting game as the scent travels. A couple of bigger baits were put down for skate, while the rest of us put smaller baits on for the other intended species, a black mouth dogfish, which apart from Oban, don't seem to get caught very often. We saw a splash on the surface which turned out to be a harbour porpoise, which at least meant there must be bait fish in the area. It was now a waiting game. I hadn't had a nibble for a while, so I decided to change my bait when I felt some weight on the end, but not fighting like anything I'd caught before. I thought I must have been snagged, but then lifted in this.
When you have 400
What the fuck is that? That's a crawfish. Holy shit.
Whoa, crawfish, don't knock it off. Got so many of them. Don't try it. Don't touch.
Fucking hell.
Fucking dancer.
Yeah, but it's not a lobster, is it?
Oh, look,
That's a... Wow.
jeez. What a fucking chance to
Is that the
catch.
first one?
I've seen them before in the creels, but they don't get in. I've had 2 or 3 stuck in the eye because they're bony. What a fucking fish.
Just grab it. Let's have a look.
That's stunning, isn't it?
Be careful that it's with your
His tail.
bare arm.
Right, see these?
Oh god, yeah,
You go like that and you'll ruin your day.
And also your their
hell.
antennae are really sharp. They'll rub them up and down your arms.
Everything's
That's
fun.
cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, not exactly what we're after, but still pretty rare. Crawfish. That'll do. But no, I'm not going to hold it near the edge.
For those of you that were worried it didn't get eaten, I wouldn't even know where to start with something like this. And to be honest, it was so impressive, I was happy for it to not end up in the pot. Not wanting to be outdone on the crustacean front, one of the other guys on the boat also caught a langoustine. The fish then started to wake up, with dogfish being caught, but not the right kind. I know a lot of sea anglers really don't like lesser spotted dogfish, or small spotted cat shark, depending on which you prefer, but as a predominant coarse angler, I really like the novelty of catching them. The tip of the rod bounced and I started winding in. With such depths, it takes a while to get the fish up, and I assumed it was just another normal dogfish, but I managed to get one of my target species, the blackmouth dogfish.
So that is a blackmouth dogfish. Not the biggest one, but pretty unusual. See the green eyes on it? Awesome. Another species ticked off.
I ended up catching 3, and they're one of the weirdest fish I've ever seen. The eyes are bright green. Sharks don't get affected by being brought up from deep water like many other fish, as they lack a swim bladder, instead having a dense oily liver which helps them keep at the right depths, so these small dogfish went back absolutely fine. One of the guys on the boat even had 3 different sharks at once, with a spur dog, a blackmouth and a lesser spotted all at once. Before heading home we had to pick up the deep sea camera, and we found that the strong tides had moved it a fair way. This is what the camera picked up. Lots of langoustines, so no surprise that we caught one. A few smaller fish, which I think are whiting, but I'm not 100%, so feel free to comment if you know what they are. Sadly, no skate turned up on the camera or the boat, but I'm keen to try again. However, we did get a nice sized ling come to investigate the camera. All in all, it was a great day, and I can't recommend Leigh Taylor enough. He's a fantastic skipper, and if you want your first skate or mixed fishing in Oban, it's a great day out.
Well, back to shore. Whoever says boat fishing is easy. Oh, that's knackering, absolutely knackering. Didn't get the skate, but hey ho, that's why I call it fishing, not catching. Always an excuse to come back. But blackmouth dogfish, that was brilliant. Was not sure if we get one of those, so great to get that and a few other species along the way. So, hope you enjoyed the vid. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, liking the video and subscribing to the channel really helps me out. But you can also donate to my buymeacoffee.com link, and all the money from that goes back into making new films for the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. You can check out some other videos in the links here. Also check out my website and social media, as well as the podcast that I host, the Bearded Tits Podcast. Cheers.